Ariel Helwani in Las Vegas, just days away now from UFC 146 alongside UFC President Dana White. And Dana, thank you so much for the time. It has been a while since we've done one of these, and the people have been getting very anxious about the whole situation. And they're wondering, speaking of anxiety, they're wondering where you've been. We had the press conference today. You're not there. Obviously, you were sick. Everyone's very concerned. So why weren't you at the press conference today?
Well, we did this new format. And I like the new format. I thought it was great. I think that Jon Anik does a great job. I like the back and forth between the fighters. It was just, we tried something different, and we did it for Jones and Evans. I thought it went off great, and we did it here. I didn't see this one yet or see how it went, but as I hear from you, there's a lot of bitching going on about it. This wouldn't be MMA if there wasn't some bitching going on. But I've been busy. I've had a lot going on. We've been here in meetings all day here at the UFC, and I know I got to get a video blog out this week too, or I'm going to get my ass kicked on Saturday at the event. But just been busy. I've had a lot of going on this month. It has been a month here at the UFC.
And we will talk about that, of course. And just final thing on the press conference: is this the norm now? Are you no longer going to be at the press conference because people are worried about that as well?
No. That's not the norm. It's not the norm. I liked the last one when we did it, so we did it for this one too. And you know how it is. I always like to try new things and feel things out and get response from the fans and the media. So if you guys think it sucks and you hate it, we'll make some tweaks.
And for the record, I'm just saying what the people said to me. I'm a man of the people. So last
week,
week,
love this format.
I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
You're so full of shit.
Anyhow, for you made history last week because this was the first time since you've been a part of the UFC that you did not attend a UFC event. And a lot of people were concerned. It came out after that you were very sick, that you had to have this surgery because of your ear. How are you feeling, and what exactly happened to you?
Yeah, it's not exactly the way I want to make history is by not showing up for events, but it's one of these things. Anybody out there who has Meniere's disease and has dealt with this knows what it's like, and it sucks. It's the last thing on earth I wanted to deal with all the other we've got going on, but it is what it is, and I have it, and I went in for the surgery, and the doctor refused to give me the surgery because he is a doctor, and doctors want to treat things, but the problem is only 50% of the people respond to the treatment. And I tried to explain to him what my life is like and that I don't want to be on a 14-hour flight to Brazil and have that ever happen to me again. So I am pushing hardcore for the surgery. The problem with the surgery is the surgery is not the cure either. They go in and they cut the nerve inside the ear that controls the equilibrium. So you have to learn how to walk again, and you have to learn how to, depth perception and all these other things. So you have to go through this therapy. I want the surgery. I will have the surgery. It's just a matter of when now. It's been a real pain in my ass, this thing, but I will get it fixed, and I will overcome this and move on.
Well, it's good to see that you're up and walking here and at least feeling somewhat good. How strange was that experience for you, being a fan at home? The tweets were hilarious. You calling out your own guys about the walkouts. Was that strange for you to be sitting at home for the first time watching a UFC event as the president of the company?
It was. What was hard for me is I was fighting this thing right up until the plane left. So it happened to me on Tuesday. My crew left on Wednesday. Lorenzo and everybody took off the next day. I was going to go. I was still going to go, but I literally didn't start feeling like myself again until 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I really started, you know what I mean? When you feel healthy, like when you get up out of bed and you feel like yourself again, I didn't start feeling like that again until 2 days ago. So I battled with myself right up until the plane took off. And then once the plane left, I was like, I'm out, man. I'm not going. It is what it is. So I'm going to sit home tonight, and I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to watch these fights. And it was fun, going back and forth with the fans and terrorizing the Zuffa guys that had to work. That I wanted to see walk-ins and some other things. It was cool to sit home and watch it.
And you know what the sort of critics will say, that you're putting too much stress on your body. This is because you're traveling too much, you're doing too much. And you said something interesting, or you wrote something interesting on the UG just a few days ago. Someone was complaining about something, and you said to them, 7 more years, we've got this Fox deal, and then you're done with me. And that's the first time that I've ever sort of heard you give yourself an out. What's going on there? Are you planning on leaving us?
No, it's not that I have this plan that I'm out in 7 years. I think that I know what the 7-year plan is with this Fox deal, and I think my place in this sport and in this organization, I've always known what it was that I wanted to do, and I absolutely know that we're going to do it in this next 7 years. I know where this thing's going to go and where it's going to be, and I think that in 7 years, the sport, the athletes that are competing in this sport, building all the weight classes, doing all the things that need to be done, we're going to get this stuff done in the next 7 years. And the one goal that we did set out to do is to get this thing in every country. We're going to be there. We're going to be there in 7 years. So I'm not saying, I'm retiring on the day this Fox deal is up or anything like that. But, that is kind of what's on my mind. But as far as me, believe me, people have been saying, because you don't stop, because you won't do this is your body, telling you if you won't stop, then we'll stop you. My body isn't even going to stop me. I'm going to get this thing fixed. I'm going to get this surgery, get past this thing and keep moving on. It's unfortunate that this happened to me, but this happens to lots of people. Your life isn't over because you have this thing. I'm going to beat this.
One last thing on the Fox thing, and then we'll get to UFC 146 and then touch on a few other news and notes in the UFC. You put out that video blog. You were very upset at the MMA media talking about the ratings and whatnot. Do you feel as though perhaps in hindsight it was a little too harsh, some of the things that you said in the video blog about the media and a few journalists in particular?
No. You know how I am. You punch me in the face, I'm going to punch you back. So I felt like, and I talked to Dave. I like Dave Meltzer. I think there's a bigger picture to this story too. Well, you guys, everything looks a certain way on the surface, but behind the scenes, there's a lot more going on than people actually realize. Without getting into all the bullshit, there's a war going on right now. There's a war brewing right now, and people are out there pushing buttons, and people are out there firing missiles over here. And listen, if you don't know by now, after 11 years, if you want to fight with me, we're gonna fight. That's all I can say. I was not too harsh. I like Dave Meltzer. I think that Dave, asking questions like, is this a fad? Is this thing over? I mean, that's goofy internet that you read on forums. For a guy whom we respect in the sport, after the 11-year, run that we've been on and the things that have been accomplished and things that are still going on. And that's the other thing is that, you guys and the fans and everybody else don't even know the things that are being worked on and the things that are going to happen in the next, 3 or 4 years. So when I read stupid like that, it would be like a journalist covering baseball. Sports and in general, ratings, go like this every season, every year, different things happen. Do you see the reporters writing about the ratings and then writing, who writes about ratings? Cable and broadcast television people write about ratings for whatever reason, their story is or whatever they're doing on a network. But you don't see a reporter saying, oh my God, is baseball a fad? Is the NBA over? Is this or that? You have lockouts and all these other things that happen. You don't ever see the reporters writing about the sport just disappearing. It's stupid, and it comes across to me like you're just looking for hits.
And not to get too into this, but I think there isn't one MMA reporter out there who's rooting for the UFC to fail. I think because the sport is so young, it's interesting to see as they sort of embark on this new adventure with Fox, what's going on and look at the trends and whatnot. But again, I think you need to take courses, you need to learn, you need to understand the Nielsen ratings, and that's a whole other story.
And don't you find it kind of funny that all of a sudden how, we're not on Spike anymore, but all of a sudden all these reporters have access to all these fucking numbers and on all these ratings and all this stuff? You talk about a war. Who is the enemy? Just saying. Right. There's a war brewing right now, all right? And, I know what's going on. Most of you do not, and it's not always what it seems to be. It's not, he came out and he's smashed Dave and did all this stuff, and he's being defensive about his ratings, being defensive about the ratings. I'm laying out exactly, you know me. I'm not trying to spin anything or put any spin. That we're either doing well or we're not doing well. Okay, and trust me, we're doing well.
Fascin-
Are things, did we come back out and do 10 million like we did in the first show? Of course not. It was the heavyweight championship. It was the first time we were ever on. We were blasted in the NFL, that this thing was going to be on and everything else. It was a direct shot at us, and the numbers, I know where the numbers are coming from, right? And where this whole swell is coming from. And Dave was a mouthpiece. And went out and wrote a stupid story, and I called him on it.
Fascinating card this Saturday. It's an all heavyweight card, the first time in UFC history. Could you have ever imagined, maybe 3-4 years ago, in the days of Tim Sylvia and Andrei Arlovski, that you can ever have a 5-fight heavyweight pay-per-view card?
Yeah, I knew that eventually, as this thing continued to grow and it got bigger, that we would, more big guys who would have played other sports would get involved in mixed martial arts. And, now's that time. It's been a great run for the heavyweight division over the last few years, and I'm excited. I'm excited for this card.
I think it's top to bottom one of the most stacked cards, even the FX fights and the Facebook fights. Of course, in the main event, you have Junior Dos Santos defending his title for the first time. No UFC heavyweight champion has ever defended his title more than twice. Do you think he can be the guy to keep this belt for a little while?
I do. I think that he has obviously the power. He keeps getting better and better. The more this guy fights, he just looks better. I mean, he knocked out Cain Velasquez in seconds. I have a lot of respect for Cain Velasquez. And the interesting thing with this Meniere fight is, a lot of people dog Meniere, and I haven't exactly run around and beat the Meniere drum for, 11 years, but you have to give the guy credit where it's due. The guy's been in the UFC for 11 years, 2-time heavyweight champion. Every time you think he can't win a fight, he pulls it out and does win. He has knocked people out. And when he does submit people, he hurts people, man.
You're a boxing guy, and Dos Santos told us yesterday, give him 3 months training exclusively boxing, and he can hang with the Klitschko's. Do you believe him?
Boxing is a completely different sport than mixed martial arts. I think there's a lot of guys over the last several years. I haven't been too good to the Klitschko's either. I think the Klitschko's are, I don't know, man. They're the cure for insomnia. They'll put you to sleep, but people don't beat them.
There's no clear-cut number one contender in the heavyweight division. A lot of people, including myself, think that Daniel Cormier, based on the fact that he won the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix, if the divisions merge, he can come over and fight for the title. Does that make sense to you?
That Cormier could come over here and fight for the title? Yeah.
Unify the belts.
Yeah, I think that, just my personal opinion, I haven't talked to Cormier or anything like that. I think Cormier would be a great 205-pounder.
So he won't come over here and fight for the title. That wasn't his prize, so to speak.
He's still got to fight one more fight over on Strikeforce.
Right. You don't know what you're doing.
Then he comes over here. Of course he could. Of course he could. He beat Josh Barnett, man. He beat Josh Barnett.
Is there a clear number one contender? Like, are one of these fights on the main card fighting for the opportunity to fight for the title? Because we don't know who's sort of that number one guy right now at heavyweight.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question.
What are you going to do during the Roy Nelson-Dave Herman fight? Because based on things that you said in the past, those two guys seem to be the most annoying fighters. You're like, how are you going to watch that fight?
That's a good question. No matter what I think of their personal appearance, both guys are tough guys. They both come to fight. I have a lot of respect for, Roy Nelson's still here because the guy's got a chin from hell and he comes to fight, I don't love his mullet. And I hate his beard even worse. And the stupid stuff that Pee Wee Herman did last time when he fought was just, I'm telling you, it's embarrassing. But both tough guys, and both guys come to fight. If they were, if they had, I don't know. I'm not even going to go there.
And Dana, obviously over the weekend, some unfortunate news. Jon Jones was arrested on suspicion of DWI. What's your take on that situation and how Jon needs to sort of deal with this situation moving forward?
Yeah. I don't know all the facts as far as legally what's going on with him and whatever town he was crashed his car in. But, I talked to Jon, and Jon is a good guy. He's a good kid. And that's what everybody has to remember. When everybody's putting this pressure on this kid, is he the pound for pound best in the world? Is this? No, not yet. There's so much more that I think, in my opinion, goes with being the pound for pound best in the world, that Anderson Silva has proved a zillion times over. The guy's been in the UFC forever. Okay, no matter how big, how famous he gets, no matter how much money this guy makes, he's always the same. Listen, Anderson isn't the easiest guy in the world to deal with either, but Anderson is a professional. He's a martial artist. He's beat everybody that's been thrown at him. He's been a champion almost the entire time he's been in the UFC. We're going to find out now, what happens with Jon Jones. Obviously, the legal side of it, I have no idea what's going on with that. Him and his people are handling that, and I think that, in the conversations that I've had with him, he's just going to end up being a positive thing for him. And in that, if he handles this thing the right way, in which I think he will, lesson learned.
And just to be clear, he will still be fighting on September 1st against Dan Henderson, right?
Yes.
Also, speaking of the Boston Herald, you told them very interesting little thing that was kind of actually, this was in the LA Times, I believe it was, that you're going to start drug testing, doing your own drug testing. Can you shed some more light on this?
Yeah, I mean, we have been. We've been proactive in this the whole time, and we do drug test. I told you we drug test all the guys that come into Tough, and we drug test guys that now sign new contracts with us. The list goes on, and we are working on how to really figure this thing out, to try to, guys who get hooked on performance enhancing drugs, or whatever kind of PED you're messing with. The problem is that once you start doing that junk, you always have to do it. So you got these guys who are talented enough to get into the UFC without using drugs, but you find a guy who's worried that other people might be, whatever your reason is for getting on it, it's the bad idea. You shouldn't do it. It's going to ruin the longevity of your career, mentally, physically, emotionally. So we're trying to figure this thing out, how to stop this, how to end all this shit.
So you haven't quite figured out the sort of roadmap, but you started to sort of work towards it.
Right.
Okay. Final things, Nick Diaz got a 1-year suspension on Monday from the Nevada State Athletic Commission, his second offense. Was that the right punishment? Was that fair?
I have no idea. I think he got the punishment that he did because it was his second offense. And I'll say it again. I said it before. You can't smoke marijuana. You can't do it. I don't care what you. Listen, I'm as bummed out as anybody else is. Nick was supposed to come in here and fight GSP. Now he's suspended for a year. It is what it is.
And have you decided what you will do with Alistair Overeem? You sort of said you were going to think about it, talk to your team. Any decision there?
Talk to Lorenzo.
That's his thing now?
Yeah, I'm out of the Alistair Overeem thing. Alistair Overeem lied to me, man. He lied right to my face, and I don't want to deal with it. I got enough other to deal with.
Clearly, and I don't mean to be hitting you with all these hard questions, because UFC 146, it goes down this Saturday night live on pay-per-view. History will be made. All heavyweight main card, headline, of course, by Junior Dos Santos versus Frank Mir. Thank you so much, and get well soon, Dana.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.